Hi there, this is Shauna from the Foil Fox, and I am here on the Paper Tray Ink YouTube channel, and I'm sharing a new stamp set called Pattern Party. But first, let's take a look at these swirling clouds. I love these clouds because they have some really wonderful detail to them. You can see, and so when you cut these out, it imprints that pattern. But here is the Pattern Party. It has two panels of stamps, and there are all these different circles with different patterns. So you can have a lot of fun with them and using them in so many ways. And then it has a matching die set. Now the die set is all these circles, so you can imagine how versatile this die set is because you can use these circles for just tons of things. And then I'm using another real favorite of mine, which is the Perfect Pairs Essentials. It has the essentials for sentiments like hello and birthday and celebrate, and it has a matching die set that goes with it that cuts them out very nicely. So not only stamps it but cuts them out individually, which I really like. That's just great. And then I'm going to use some papers. The papers I'm using are all Paper Tray ink papers. I have Lemon Tart, Summer Sunrise, Lovely Lady, Aqua Mist, and Hawaiian Shores. And then I have some white cardstock, a white cardstock panel that is a slimline, which means that it is, we have a slimline card base also, which is 4 1/4 by 8 1/2. So we're going to also use a piece of Hawaiian Shores Bitty Big paper where we're going to use the polka dots on that one. And I have a stencil here I'm using. This happens to be L'Enfant Slimline Cloud Stencil. I'm using this one even though it's meant to go horizontally. The reason why I'm using this one, I have lots of cloud stencils, but this one has lots of cloud profiles. So it has, you can make big clouds, you can make little clouds. I think that is perfect because you can vary them. And I'm using two distressings, peacock feathers and salvage patina. I'm using mostly peacock feathers, by the way, and I'm using a blending brush, and I'm just going to work my way up, starting quite light, and then as I work my way up this panel, I'm going to get darker and darker. And so we're just going to continue on up because we're going to have, this is going to create a really nice background for our pattern party. That is a tongue twister. You can see how I've gotten darker and darker, and I'm just going to continue on until I get to the very, very top. Just rotating these from little clouds to big clouds, and just to try to make them a little bit interesting there. And so there we have it. I set that aside, and now I took out these Pattern Party stamps. I'm going to use most of them and most of the sizes, but not all of them. I'm going to keep an odd number, which is 5. I have some inks out here, Aqua Mist, Hawaiian Shores. Well, you know what? I'm not going to list them all because in a minute I'm going to just put them up on the screen and then you can see them. But first, I'm going to cut out all of these circles. So I'm starting out with the biggest circle. It isn't the biggest circle. It's second to the biggest circle of the dies. And I'm using the pink and then going with the yellow, the orange, and then my two colors of kind of aqua-y teal colored paper. So I have them all cut out. I have them in my stamp positioner, and here's all the colors I'm using. Now here is the Raspberry Fizz over the pink. Now you're going to see that this yellow one, I started out using Summer Sunrise, but in the end I actually recut the yellow and did it in Bright Buttercup because the Summer Sunrise I thought was just a little bit too bold, and I didn't want that. I wanted a little bit more subtle. And then I used terracotta for the that on that Summer Sunrise paper, and then the tropical teal on the Hawaiian Shores paper, and then for the Aqua Mist paper, this little guy, I'm using Hawaiian Shores ink. So I just inked up those patterns, and you can see each of these sizes have a different pattern to them. And then I also stamped that little bit that I had left over. I also stamped a little bit of a pattern because I'm going to make balloons out of these, and I need that last little part of the balloon to make it a little more balloon-like. So I just cut a little triangle after I had stamped the pattern on that scrap that I had left over. And I'm just gluing these on. And that's just to make them look more consistent. So I'm going to just glue on each of these triangles that I had cut out for each of these different balloons that I'm making. And I'm just gluing those little tails on. And you can see that I have them all done. Now I'm going to cut out some out of white cardstock, some clouds, and I'm also going to cut out birthday. And I have some thread here. This is just from the fabric store. It is from Gutermann, if that matters to you. It's and it is a black metallic thread. It's because it's decorative. It's a little bit thicker, but not too thick, so it works nicely for this. And I just cut a little piece and tied a bow onto each of these and trimmed off the tails. And then I take a longer piece, and I'm going to use this for the string. And I'm just using a piece of tape and taping it to the back. And I did that for all of my balloons, as you can see there. Now I have all my pieces here. Now I use Versamark black onyx ink to stamp the birthday. I didn't show you that because I was sure you knew to stamp the birthday onto one of these cutouts. I have 2 more birthday cutouts because I want to stack them one on top of one another so that I can it's creating dimension. I don't have to put foam tape on the back when I do it this way. And when you have small little pieces like this, it is a much cleaner way to get some dimension. So you can see it's quite stout, which is also really great. So now I have my white card base. I have a piece of Hawaiian Shores Bitty Big paper. I'm going to use the small polka dots. And this covers the entire front, so it's 4 1/4 by 8 1/2. And then I had trimmed the cloud panel just a little bit, so you can just see just a tiny border of the polka dots. And we're just going to glue that on. I do use liquid glue for this. I used to use a lot of double stick tape, and I still use a double stick tape, but not for this. I like to use the glue because when I go to put it down, it does allow me to move it or slip it a little bit if I need to adjust exactly how the positioning of it. So there we have that, and we have all our balloons, and we have our birthday. So I'm going to arrange our balloons. Now I have put foam tape. Now this, you see, these are smaller squares. These are the scrapbook adhesive squares. They're only 1 millimeter in depth, and so it's going to be a little bit lower. On the other ones, I put regular foam tape, which I think is 2 millimeters in depth, so they stand up a little bit more. And just that different height difference does make a difference. And then I am arranging my little strings to my balloons. And see, this has got the regular foam tape on it. On each one of these, I'm just going to peel it off once I had arranged them, and I'm going to stick them down. Got to be sure to get the little guy there. And there's always a little fussing that is needed for this kind of work. I'll hold down the string, stick down my other one, and you can see with doing that little triangle on these circles, it does create a nice balloon. And then you have the bow that covers up your union there. And now I've got all my strings. I'm just going to kind of hold them there. And I'm going to just position the birthday because I need it to either say happy birthday or it's your birthday. And this is included in this set. I'm using It's Your, so it will say it's your birthday. And I'm going to put it back into my stamp positioner, and I'm going to use VersaFine ink because it's really nice detail. You can see I just kissed that stamp, and I just kissed the paper and took it out. I didn't want to fuss with that or somehow mess it up like I'm prone to do. And now I'm going to tuck these clouds in there. I'm going to have to move the foam tape a little bit on the back of one of those balloons to tuck it in, but I got them in there, and now they just add a nice little element. I'm putting some glue on my birthday. I'm nearly done, and I'm just going to hold down my strings and get this all straight, put that down. And the only thing left to do is to trim my little tails off. Make sure you do make those tails long enough so you do have room to trim them. And then there we have it. So let's take a look at it close up. I just really like the way it turned out. And I think that this birthday card is perfect for man, woman, or child. And you can change the color schemes to suit whoever your recipient is. And it's just very cheerful. And I love having these kinds in my stash, because either I have a birthday coming up, or someone will ask me if I have a card available for them to use. So I think it turned out to be a great one for any occasion. But here, let's review the items that I used. I used Pattern Party Stamp and Die Set, the Perfect Pairs Essential Stamp and Die Set, and the Swirling Clouds. And of course, there's many more supplies that I use, like all the distress inks. You can go to foilfox.com, and there's a complete supply list there, plus some close-ups. You can go to Paper Tray Ink. They have an abbreviated supply list there as well. You can get all the supplies at either Foil Fox or Paper Tray. This finishes it up for today, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.